Brynhanda and Croeso, good afternoon and welcome, and thank you very much for joining us today for this Cardiff University event. So we have a wide variety of people joining us today from across the UK and around the globe, Bristol, Bridgend and the Bahamas, to name a few. This is the first event of a new academic year in our For Alumni by Alumni Live event series, where we hand over the webcams and mics to our fabulous alumni to share their thoughts, expertise, passions and experiences on topics which will inspire, engage and spark curiosity within our community. So this event is being recorded and we'll send you the link in our follow-up email. My name is Hannah Sterrett. I'm the Alumni and Supporter Engagement Officer at Cardiff University and fellow alumna. And I'm also an Xpress Radio former member. I actually still have some old merchandise to show for it. So today's event celebrates the 25th anniversary of Xpress Radio. Xpress FM, as it was then known, was founded in 1996 and is now older than, shocking, than many of our current students. The station first broadcast from a tiny studio in the Students' Union before being upgraded in 1998 to a multi-studio broadcasting complex with industry standard equipment on the 4th floor of the Students' Union. Changing to Xpress Radio in 1999, the station continued to go from strength to strength, regularly broadcasting on 106.8 FM, adding a website, and of course, broadcasting throughout the Union building. You used to even be able to hear Xpress broadcasts in the university's cyber cafes. This has now been upgraded, of course, to mainly online listening. So fast forward to a more recent history of Xpress, a move to the 3rd floor of the Union and a strong partnerships with the other Cardiff student media outputs. We've got yw'r, Quench Magazine and CUTV. The station has developed into a Cardiff student household name. The fundamentals have stayed the same though, broadcast entirely by students, for students, as your uni, your sound. In 2017, a successful GoFundMe page attracted the attention of many Xpress alumni, raising over £2,000 to support a studio upgrade. And then in 2019, Xpress won at the Student Radio Awards held in the O2 in London, silver for outside broadcasting for Welsh Varsity, and tonight's very own Sam MacGregor won gold in Best Male Presenter. And then in the most recent Student Radio Awards, Xpress won bronze for diversity, equality and inclusion, bronze for Holly Markham as Best Producer, and gold for Best Multi-Platform Initiative for the Eggs Marks the Spot event. It'll be lovely to hear any Xpress Radio memories you have from anyone attending tonight's event. Please do leave them in the Q&A or the chat box at the bottom of your screen and we'll give you a shout out. We've also had some lovely messages from Xpress alumni when planning this event, and many people are saying the same thing, that without Xpress, they wouldn't be where they are in their careers today. So without further ado, it is my privilege to introduce you to today's panelists. Sam MacGregor first got behind the mic at Xpress Radio during his first week of study and hasn't looked back since. Alongside his human geography course, Sam presented and produced a range of music entertainment shows and ran as Deputy Station Manager and Programme Controller in 2019-2020. In 2018, Sam was awarded silver Best Newcomer at the National Student Radio Awards before, as just mentioned, winning Best Male Presenter in 2019. He then went on to cover shows on local commercial radio station Nation Radio. Last Christmas, Sam and Danni were selected to host Radio 1's Life Hacks and Official Chart First Look as part of the Christmas takeover, and have since been asked back several times to cover the show. Throughout June this year, they hosted the Friday Early Breakfast Show, warming up for Greg James, and now continue to cover a range of shows across the station. Sam also freelances as a producer with BBC Radio Wales and is the social media and community coordinator for food sharing at Olio. And then Danni Diston, she joined Xpress Radio while studying journalism, media and English literature at Cardiff University. Originally just wanting to help with production, Danni began working on various projects at Xpress before successfully running for Deputy Station Manager in 2018-2019. During her time at Xpress, Danni helped with production, presenting and organising various events, including a 24-hour takeover for Cardiff Food Bank and commentating live on the SU's AGM. After winning gold for Best Entertainment Show together at Cardiff University Student Media Awards, Sam and Danni decided they'd continue working as a double header. They now continue to cover a variety of shows on the station alongside presenting Friday Breakfast on local station Radio Cardiff. Danni also works full-time as a teaching assistant in a local special educational needs school. So before we get into our topic, I'd just like to remind our audience that if you do have any questions for Sam or Danni, as well as memories of Xpress for discussion this evening, please do enter them in the Q&A box at the bottom of your screen. And in your answer, please do let us know where you are in the world right now. I also thank everyone who have already submitted questions in advance, which I'll ask during the Q&A section of the evening. So welcome, Sam and Danni. Thank you so much for your time this evening. And it is so lovely to have you both back virtually with Cardiff University, sharing your insights and experiences as we celebrate Xpress Radio and talk about the impact Xpress has had on your life and careers. So hello.
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 I mean, what an introduction. We've forgotten our purple t-shirts, Dan. We should have.
Mine's at home in Cornwall.
Hannah, thank you so much for having us. It's awesome to be here. And I mean, that's quite a mighty intro. So thank you.
I was.
Pretty mighty, wasn't it?
I've never been introed like that before. It was lovely. Thank you.
I was going through the whole 25 years and the two of you. There was a lot to cover, you know.
Yes.
So if we kick off, how was your time at Cardiff University and how did you both get involved with Xpress in the first place? Sam, do you want to take that first?
Yeah, sure. I mean, I am so fortunate because when I look back at uni, I feel like it was yesterday. I know it's such a cliche thing to say, but like, because I did graduate, well, I finished my course in 2020, so like through the summer of COVID. So those last few months of the summer, I was literally doing my human geography degree, like waking up, sliding around from my bed, doing the final essays, and then sliding back. So when I think about it, I never really got the final show with Xpress. I never got that final send off or that final sort of moment. So for me, Cardiff Uni literally feels like the other day. But yeah, I did human geography, but mostly spent pretty much of my time in Xpress Radio in the studio on the 3rd floor. And I actually remember, I was thinking about this today. I was an obsessively keen fresher going into it, like unashamedly. When actually choosing unis, I actually remember going around to the student uni stations and checking them out and seeing what they were like. And I remember my very first day, I went to go see the studio, met the guys at the Freshers Fair, then went back up to the studio with them, and one of them let me on one of their shows on my very first day of uni. And I was that keen guy, but you know, I got stuck in straight away, and ever since then, literally hardly left the studio.
You were still that keen, you know, the keen from day one, and you're still that keen now.
Oh yeah.
Unashamedly so, yeah.
How about yourself, Danni?
So slightly different. I mean, Cardiff, I loved. I knew I wanted to go to Cardiff Uni from the age of 15 when I saw One Direction at a gig here. And I came and I was like, well, I'm coming back to this city. And so I did journalism and English. I loved it. So with societies, I didn't really get involved in any in first year. I think just first year nerves. And also I kind of just stuck with the people I met in my housing. But in second year, I decided like I want to get involved in radio. I'd grown up with radio. My mum's obsessed with radio. So it's just a medium I've always had in my life. And I was like, okay, I'm going to get involved. I never wanted to present. I wasn't bothered about it, even though I can speak for England, Wales, the whole of the UK. I just never wanted to present. But I got thrown into it and here we are. I love it now. But it was great. So I joined in second year, did a year as a presenter, and then in my third year became deputy station manager and got more involved on the executive side of things with Xpress. But it was probably the best choice I made at Cardiff because a lot of my best friends are from there, and also it's creating a career for us. So all good.
What a whirlwind, really. And so where do we find you now? We were talking beforehand about how you were at Reading Festival last weekend. How has that all been in this past year? Danni?
Yeah, amazing. So as you said, we sent in a demo at Christmas. So at Christmas, Radio 1, quite a few stations do things like this, but it was the second time they'd ever done it. And they basically get people to send in demos. They basically give all their presenters 2 weeks off at Christmas and give everyone else a chance to get a little bit of time on the station. So we were chosen, which I still think we can't believe. I remember when we got the call, we were both like, sorry, who? But so that was really amazing. We were chosen. And then since then, we've been really fortunate. They must like us because they keep bringing us back. And it's been really good. So we're kind of at the stage where we both do work full time and we freelance present. We, like you said, we do on Friday Breakfast on Radio Cardiff, which is volunteer. And then we're doing cover presenters at the moment for the BBC, mainly just BBC Radio 1. And we've done loads of different shows. So like this week, for example, we were presenting live at Reading Festival. So we went to Reading on Saturday and then we did 3 early breakfast shows covering Ariel Free in the week. So we had to go to London. You got to get into the studio at 4 a.m. for that, which is quite a lot, but we love it. And then we just drove up to Salford on Sunday to present Life Hacks, the show we originally presented that we got picked for. So it's crazy and it's busy, but we're loving every moment of it.
Fantastic. So how do you get that sort of balance then if you both actually work full time as well?
It's a good question. It's a really good question. Actually, I think this is a really exciting thing, but also it is a thing that is discussed a lot about when getting into creative industries. Because actually, as you say, Danny and I, we do have sort of full-time jobs as well. And I think actually going into a creative career, which you absolutely love, like we will do anything to get behind that mic and to get on that stage. Like if we had to crawl up the motorway to Manchester, like for tomorrow morning, like we would do. It would stop for a few coffees as we always do, but we would get there. But actually to support that, we do have to have full-time jobs and social lives and try and sleep as well. So we absolutely love what we do and we do anything for it. But it is quite tricky to balance, to be honest. But I think it's all about planning and having supportive mates and family who know that if you go for it, if you say you'll go for a pint with them, they'll know that that's in a week's time at the scheduled hour of what you're saying. And it works. And I'm sure we'll speak about it in a bit. Like, I think it's so amazing to like be doing it with like Dan, like doing us together, because like we're both best mates. So when it gets tiring and like you're jet lagged because you're waking up at 2 a.m. in the morning to do a show, you got your mate there, you got yourself to pull through it. I
do think it helps that we were friends at Xpress, and then we carried on presenting together as like when we'd already created a friendship. So I do think that helps because we don't actually mind being in each other's company, which is good. So even when we're tired, but at the moment, I must admit, a lot of it is we work, we meet in the evenings, so we travel on weekends, and it's a lot. But with time, it's getting easier because we're knowing the shows more, we know what we're doing more. So it gets easier over time, but it's a lot of graft, but we enjoy it.
And I think on that as well, like it is that graft you've got to enjoy, because getting into a creative industry where you do try and set yourself quite high goals, like it's never going to happen overnight. And I think each bit does build up little blocks at a time. So whether that is, like we've got a community radio show like tomorrow that we're going to prep for, or even the crazy thought that on next week we might be on national radio again. It's about celebrating those little moments, because there's never going to be a moment where you sit back and think, right, we've done it. That's it. We can sit back. Like just the nature of the beast. We'll always be grafting for the next thing and trying hard, and just working. So it's about enjoying the little moments as well as you go through it.
That's fab. So what do you think the link is between student radio and getting into the industry? Is working full-time the way forward? Is that how you do it, Danny?
It's an interesting one. Yeah. Something that is a massive part of getting into the industry is the Student Radio Association. So I think for us, when you're doing student radio, there's so many different ways you can take it. So you can just have it for fun, which we did at the same time. But if it gets to the point where you're like, this is actually something I think I want to do, and then you're like, oh, I'm not doing my degree much, but I'm doing this now. I think sometimes I found the best link was through the SRA. We got lots of contacts. I mean, at the end of the day, it came down to us and us making the demo, but we had a lot of contacts. We had a lot of people we can ask advice to. So I do think that's a massive part. If you're going to be involved in Xpress and you want to make it into a career, getting involved in the SRA is quite a good idea. But also, I think a lot of it is just with Xpress, you fall in love with radio. It's not like you start and it's a chore, like you enjoy doing it. So I feel like the link is there in the sense that you're like, I would love to carry this on forever. You've used that time to be able to learn to edit if you want to present, to get your skills up, to produce. Like, it's totally up to you what you want to do there. You don't have to do anything. You can just be part of the society. But if you do, I guess that helps you with the skills that you're later going to take from that. So that's really beneficial. I mean, working full time probably isn't the best way to carry on with it, but we have to when you're freelance. It's just how it is. So a mixture of both, I think, is good.
That's fair. Anything else to add to that, do you think, Sam?
No, I think totally. Yeah, it's about getting stuck in literally every avenue you can, and I think just generally as well. Like, I think Xpress Radio for us is like a safe space to make mistakes, and I think that is the way like you learn. Like, I think like Dan, like the best shows we've ever done are the ones that went hideously wrong. Like, we come away and we remember those, right? Yeah. So like we've had some awful features, and like I always knew I wanted to do like sort of entertainment in inverted commas, broadcasting, as opposed to like serious music or sports. But like I'd still get stuck in with sports broadcasting, like be that at the Varsity, where we'd have everyone coming over to Swansea to come and see the games, or likewise to Cardiff. And I'd try to do some like serious sports broadcasting, and then just wouldn't go to plan. And I'll be chatting to somebody in the back of the van who's having Pinot Grigio and Cheerios at 7 o'clock in the morning. And that'd be how I twist it. And, I think it's about making mistakes, making awful things, and actually realizing how you yourself want to progress that if you do. And also just add on to that, like you make from it what you want to. As Dan said, like if you want to have fun with it or you want to take it seriously, you can absolutely do either of those and a mix of them as well.
Any of those moments that come to mind, Danni, of when it's really gone not very well?
I was going to say, you're not selling us very well here, Sam. I mean, to be fair, I think a lot of it, student radio always just kind of goes wrong. You don't really think about it, but we did some very weird stuff. Like one time we presented a show called Friday Brunch with our friend Kieran as well, back at uni, but he produced us as well. And we did something called like the pancake flip off. So Sam had people doing pancake races on the student union decking, like on the, we did a lot of weird things. We used to call up people, and Sam once recited the Gruffalo, pretending it was like a way to chat someone up. We've called my mum my poor mother had so many.
She's been through it.
Yeah. So, but then we also did some really cool stuff. Like I was able to bring my friend in to do stuff on International Women's Day and like talk about her art history degree and stuff. So yeah, it was cool.
Was there anything you want to add there? Sorry, Sam.
So Danny's made a really good point now. So I feel like I'm sort of devaluing it now, just ancient history. But I mean, to the point that we had to get Danny's mum on the whole time. We played on the fact that it was student radio. So we knew we probably didn't have anyone listening. We even had a feature with our friend Kieran, where with a radio shout out, you always have a person, a location, and usually something they're doing. So as we'd play this fast paced music, and I'd say a random name, Danny would make up a location and Kieran would make up an activity, and we'd switch around each week and we'd just make up listeners. And we'd have fun with that. And it's about using what you've got at Xpress or not getting at a student radio station, just twist it and just have a laugh. Just don't take yourself seriously.
Yeah, definitely.
And now is it a bit of a shock when you get real listeners with real locations and activities? You're, oh, that sounds
slightly scary when they'll be like, you've got millions of people listening and we're like, oh, right. So we won't do that today. No, the jump is crazy, but we love it. It's what we want to do. So it's all good.
That's brilliant. Oh, we've had a question from Holly, and she's in Glasgow. And she says, how do you stay motivated? When it's such a tough industry to make it in?
Thanks, Holly, for your question. And I feel like a lot of it, honestly, being a double header is really, really good because Sam and I are very good at motivating each other. I think just reminding ourselves why we do it. Like every time we do a show, we're so pumped to do the next one. And even like, for example, when we woke up for early breakfast last week, like the first day we were like, oh my God, this is early. And then within like an hour when we've been on air, we're buzzing. So I think the motivation comes from the fact like we're not just doing it because it's like, oh my God, Radio 1, like we love it. We absolutely love being on there. I mean, you can tell we just talk and talk. So it's just, I guess we motivate ourselves in the sense that we love it. And also we're really good at bigging each other up. And if I'm having a bad day, Sam will like, remind me why we're doing it, and same vice versa.
And I think on that as well, I think as some people are motivated by certain creative things, or like the end goal or whatever, or like they want like Radio 1, they want to be like famous or something like that. And like I think for us, like it's totally different. Like we absolutely love everything they do. Like we'll happily chat into a microphone that will allow us to chat. We'll sit in Xpress for years as we did, and then the community station now, wherever will take us. And I think for us, staying motivated, I think we're very realistic in the sense that we know nothing's going to happen overnight, and it'll only come from like our graft and our hard work together and working as a team. And on those days, one of us is having a great day, and then maybe the other one not so much. Like it's playing to our strengths, and it's playing together as friends and listening to each other and just working together.
That's nice. And so I suppose we've touched on it a little bit, but what general advice or tips would you have for students who are currently wanting to pursue this passion of radio, or a similar passion that's kind of outside their main degree program? Sam, do you want to take that first?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, I'd just say yes to everything. Like, just get stuck in. Like, absolutely, just do every little bit of anything. Like, if something, as I said, like, I tried to do sports broadcasting, didn't work out, but I still twisted it the way you want to. Just get stuck in. Don't be afraid to make mistakes. And equally, I think something which we quite openly speak about is imposter syndrome, and the feeling of, when you get something amazing, actually, am I meant to be here? Is this the real thing? And actually, I think we've sort of learned down ourselves, actually. I don't think, imposter syndrome, it changes all the time, and you go through different stages and how you're feeling about what you're creating and how you're feeling. But I think it is, speaking to lots of different styles of presenters and people in the industry, it is a thing for everybody. So just feel free to put everything you do out there. Know you're going to make mistakes. Know not everything's going to be perfect, and enjoy that, and enjoy those little things. But just do it. Just create.
I think a massive part as well is like, so Sam's a really good example because Sam studied human geography and then now is in a radio career, whereas I did journalism, so it's not as crazy. But I think, like you said, it doesn't even just have to be radio. I know we're talking about Xpress right now, but any society, I found, even joining late, you can take it at your own time. Obviously, you know, you want try everything, but at the same time, if there's one specific thing you want to go down, like, yeah, go and ask someone in charge. You'll find, like, I think you think it's really scary when you see people that are like station managers and in uni, but it's not like that. Everyone's all like similar ages. They're all doing similar things. No one really, they just like people to be involved. So I'd be, yeah, just have a go at it. I think that's probably the best way. And don't be afraid to email people. This is where Sam's really good for us because he's quite good at being the networker and I'm quite good at being the one that just speaks. So he, you know, and I used to always get nervous, like, oh my God, we shouldn't send that email. But, you know, if you don't send it, you don't get it. So I think just don't be hard on yourself, but also go for it and try not to compare yourself to anyone else. I think sometimes especially if you get involved in kind of student media or any student media, I think sometimes people will be like, oh, that person's so confident doing loads, but that, you know, everyone wants to do it in their own different way. And that's what societies are for. You can just try them out and have fun with them because uni is the best time for that. I mean, I love what we're doing now, but if I could live Xpress all over again, I would, you know, like it's just the best time. So yeah, just take it at your own pace and don't be afraid to ask people for advice and sign up to something.
Yeah, it's what's the worst it can happen. That's the thing, isn't it?
100%.
With university as well, there's so many different opportunities that you can try. If you don't like it,
Exactly.
So what? Yeah,
Totally.
And Sam, doing your human geography degree, I understand you did your dissertation on Xpress. Do you want to talk about that?
Yeah, I did. Do you know, I managed to somehow weave in radio to every aspect of my uni life. And I was really grateful for it. So at the time I had a lecturer called John Anderson, and every sort of meeting we'd have, I just end up on a tangent here, there and everywhere about radio. And when I went to uni, I thought geography was about like coasts and rivers and streams and all the rest of it and rocks and things like that. But then quickly realized what I loved about human geography was actually finding out about like people, like systems, like geopolitics and community. And that's eventually what I landed on to study for my dissertation. And actually I was speaking to my supervisor about it, and we realized that actually, you know, being Xpress Radio, being so like immersed in it, was actually a perfect example of something to study, because actually what you got is people in like a stage of their life for like 3 years or so, 4 years or so, or like, you know, finding yourself in inverted commas, like becoming like what you want to study, what you want to do, presenting and being yourself on air, but actually such a mix of personalities in one place. So for example, I actually studied the actual like spin on it was essentially human geography as a relation between space, place, and the people within it. I paid $9,000 a year to work that out. And basically, so then through that, we basically looked at human geography, and actually with the like on air and off air spaces of radio, actually you had like communities forming of people listening. So we're hearing all these things, but not knowing they're connected up. You had people who in the street wouldn't speak to each other necessarily unless they were on air in a studio. So for example, we had a situation where, as program controller, when I'd look after which show goes where, on a Sunday we had the religious Sunday show, and they'd play like gospel music and all the rest of it, and then they'd have a 10-minute handover to the next show, which would be like the hardcore rock show, and about 4 lads in like leather jackets. And maybe typically those two groups of people wouldn't meet together, but in this sort of bubble of student radio, you know, that they would. So I sort of analysed those meeting relationships, identity, presentation of the self, and all those sort of wavy concepts. But I loved it. And all it allowed me to do was spend more time on Xpress Radio, chatting to some mates, getting some good research, and I even made a podcast of it as well.
I think that's the first time I've really listened to what your disc was about, you know.
I mean, I've told you so many times, but you're way over your head.
I was really intrigued, and I was like, that's so interesting.
That's fantastic. And I suppose that's kind of the essence of what makes student radio so special.
100%.
Totally. I mean, and it's all people who are crammed into a room doing want to be they're there because they want to be there. They're there because they want to do something. Whereas at university, the people you might meet, while everyone loves their course, you've got certain things to go to and all the rest of it. But when you're in that room, you want to be there, you want to be creating. And generally, like in radio, everyone's really lovely and overly talkative. So when you're in that room, it is as wet as it sounds, a meeting of minds, it is like people like meeting each other for the first time. And it's just a beautiful space.
And I think it's nice because you learn so much because, especially about music and that, you've got people with all different types of music taste and you don't have to take it too seriously because it's student radio. So you can go in on one of your new friends' shows and they'll talk to you about, like, I learned so much about different genres I'd never really known much about or been that interested in. So yeah, it was really great expanding that. But Sam, that was very interesting, that dissertation. We'll talk more about that.
Yeah, you can read it if you want, you can proofread it.
Maybe
just
not.
On that about musical styles, we even had a show last year. It was part of a 24-hour takeover a few years back actually, and my friend Jacob did a show called Psychedelia Smith, and he did psychedelic rock songs that were related to cooking or chefs. And Xpress, you can do absolutely anything you want to do, and that's the magic of it.
So I suppose you touched on the 24-hour takeover there, but were there other events that you particularly remember that you ran during your time as kind of both deputy station managers that really stand out for you? Danni, do you want to take that on?
Yeah, so when I was deputy station manager in 2019, no, was it 2018?
19.
Yeah, that's it.
So
oh my God, I'm
old.
getting old. So Sam was part of Xpress. We knew each other, obviously, but I was in second year. He was in first year. Oh, going into second year, I was going into third year, sorry. And our station manager was Meg Sharma. She was great, still a really good friend of mine now. And yeah, it was amazing. So the 24-hour takeover, we didn't start, but we did actually, Meg decided to go for Cardiff Food Bank, which was the first time we did it for them because we wanted to make it a local charity, which was really nice. So we met up with Cardiff Food Bank and we just all got on so well and we made a nice amount of money for them, which was lovely. And then we also did things like the LGBT plus takeover, which was amazing. And we got to work with people that worked within the union. My friend Hannah, she was like really big within the union in the LGBT plus scene. So she was really good at that. She helped us produce the whole day. And we did things like International Women's Day. Emma McGuigan, who was a station manager a few years back, she brought that in and was very keen on keeping it going. And obviously we wanted to support that. So loads of cool things. And then we would do Xpress basically a concert, loads of different bands. We've had it in various places over Cardiff, and that was always really fun because it wasn't just Xpress people. Like a lot of people would come to those because obviously a band they might know about that's played at like Welsh Club or something were on, so that was really cool. And that was kind of the main events we threw. They were all really fun. The organizing of them was great, and it was great. We had loads of good stuff, and Sam carried that on in the second year when we left. So under Finn, I think Finn was your station manager, right?
Yeah, so Finn Stockton then took over, and I think it was actually during your year, Dan, but one that really stands out to me was the mental health awareness day that we had. And we had so many different types of people, such a diverse lineup of people who came on air, and actually, and this is something I actually did touch on in the dissertation, actually, people genuinely really opening up, like in front of a microphone about their past experiences throughout the 3 years of uni or just wherever they are in that stage in life in their sort of educational career, like express themselves about how they found it and how they're dealing with certain topics. And we had it focused on what was it, Dan? It was all types of things. One that really stands out to me actually is we had 2 hours where 8 guys, including myself, all crammed into the studio, all based on 3 mics. I mean, it even seems weird having 8 people in a small room now, but
yeah, you can't do that.
we're all crammed against 2 mics, and we're having really open, frank conversations about like when was the lowest point of your life, like when did you last cry, and being with Xpress, like I at a real moment actually, I was like, wow, like everybody in this room feels so confident and feels so just open just to express these things. And whether that is just because the mates we found through this, or the medium of radio, like in tribute to it, like it was just amazing. And people really opened up. We had people came on who had long-term health issues, people who had with disability and educational needs, and mental health issues. And it was a real amazing place to sort of raise money and raise awareness in the SU about mental health.
And we always try to like get in touch with other societies. So we'd have like Copperfield, for example, when it was International Women's Day. So we always try to make it so the whole of the Students' Union was involved, which was really nice. And we also used to cover the AGM, which wasn't as much as an event. We had to do a whole OB on that, and it was intense, but always very, very fun.
Do you know, last one I mentioned, sorry to jump on the back of that. We also, one of the last ones we had before COVID, we ran a Battle of the Bands. Which is absolutely amazing. So full credit to the team. We had Holly Mark and Polly Denny, Agathe, and so many to mention, but honestly, incredible work. And they set up basically 5 or 6 gigs, and we'd host them as Xpress Radio, and we'd be all around the small like rock bars around the city and live venues. So we did one at Welsh Club, one in Fuel Rock Bar as well. And we'd be right at the back of this little club with the little microphones. We're broadcasting live back to the studio, and there'd be live sets on. And when they were playing music, we'd be broadcasting that and going like moshing around, dancing around, and then we'd come back and go live on air. And it was just fun. And that is why we love Xpress so much. So we made mistakes, we had fun, and just enjoyed every moment of it.
Brilliant. It's lovely to kind of you to share your memories, but also we've had messages in advance and also this evening from former Xpress members. So I'll shout out to John. He is now in Fort Lauderdale in Florida, and he was Xpress Radio presenter 1996 to 1999. So I'm sure he has many things to say about the beginnings of Xpress Radio. And he actually says he won Best Male Presenter in 1999. So the legacy lives on. He says
Nice.
We should do an alumni radio show. And I think that is something that the current Xpress exec are planning for the continuation of 25-year anniversary celebrations. So I'll announce it a bit more in the end of this, but it's lovely to kind of have those lovely memories. We've also had, who else we had? James, he says he's lost track of the different roles between 2002 to 2005. DJ, producer, treasurer, deputy station manager, joint head of tech, and then he ended up as VP of the Students' Union 2005, 2006. So it's funny just how it's, you get into it, and that's you. You know, you've got so many roles, so many different things. So lovely to have both of you here this evening too. We had a question from Luke, and he says, why do you think the station endures as a platform for future talent and long-term career opportunities? And he's based in London now.
I think how does it create future? Well, I think what it is, I think for me definitely was actually the community aspect of it gave me the confidence to go on and sort of believe in myself to do it like genuinely, like without the support of meeting people, you know, in that room with the funky vibrant sofas, which have a really interesting design in the corner. I think like meeting people all around, it really gave me the confidence to go forward with it. And you know, as repeated, like make those mistakes and just try and be yourself and try and just do it really. But yeah, I think it's the community. I think that's what really helps it along.
I think with Xpress and a lot of student radio stations, they kind of are now the leeway into getting into the industry. Same with a lot of master's courses and stuff. Like a lot of the time now, if you do want to get involved in media, that's kind of the way to do it. Obviously, it's a bit different to how it used to be, but student radio is huge. I mean, that's where you see most of the talent nowadays. I mean, you know, Greg James, student radio, like one of the biggest presenters in our country. So I feel like within itself, naturally, that makes it a good place to go far. But I also feel like Xpress especially, it was amazing because we're in Wales, like you've got Welsh music shows, so you've got people that are showing different kinds of talent that we haven't seen before in the UK. Like you don't really often get Welsh music shows and podcasts. I know it's coming in more now, but it just produced talent that you haven't seen before. And again, students, it's so diverse here, so we're getting so many different people that can do different things, and I think that's what makes it so it can create careers, because it's not just like the same group of people doing the same thing as everyone else, like that you see already. It's completely different to that. Everyone has different roles and they get to try their hand at everything when they might not. If they're in a serious job to do with radio, you might have to stick to that one thing. So I think the flexibility of it, and just the fact that obviously you can show so many different talents where you can't always do that other places, is probably what helps it to make it a successful place for people to then carry on and go on and do well.
Right.
What I'd also just say, just one more point to add on to that as well. I think full credits to Elaine, who maybe doesn't get enough credit as she
Very
should
true.
do. But Elaine, cheers, Elaine. Elaine has a desk in the corner of the Cardiff Student Media office, and she looks after a lot of the admin, a lot of the funding that comes through the SU, and just a lot of tech support for Xpress. And she's always there to raise a smile in the morning when you're opening it really early in the morning, closing it late at night. Elaine's looking after the admin of things for you, and I think that really helps the station go from cohort to cohort as well. And just the incredible commitment from so many of the volunteers, and as station managers and deputy station managers and people who look after all the tech, like we're spending hours and hours in these stations, and if it wasn't for that community and everyone playing their little bit of a role, it just wouldn't be the same. So I think year on year, just the hard work that goes in from every angle is truly commendable.
And there's so much in radio that it's behind the scenes, isn't it? There's a whole community, so many exec members, so many members, that actually over the years there must have been thousands of people involved with Xpress Radio to make it what it is today.
Well, definitely. I mean, like, for example, even if people don't just present and stuff, all of the tech is made up pretty much by the students. We have help from people in the SU if we need it, but like, they run it, they run the station, they keep it on air, they basically practice to be like these tech wizards whilst they're doing a course on the side. It's insane. So you're basically running a radio station on your own as a bunch of people, and I think that's what makes it, even though it is a bit of fun, like, it does feel real, and I think that helps as well, because it feels like almost, it's like it becomes your baby. Everything you do, you care about it so much there, especially when you get part of like the team and stuff. So I just feel like you just get such a good practice, because you can do literally anything. We build the station without all the students, it wouldn't exist. So yeah, I think Xpress is nice too, because we do, like, it was all a lot of student radio stations get a lot of money put in from the media courses, and we didn't always get that, but we still had people that were so dedicated to it despite that, which is really nice to see, because sometimes people don't want to do things for free, do they? So it was amazing that they did.
Wonderful. Okay, we've probably got time for one more question. So unless you have anything else to add, what is next for you both? What can we look forward to, hopefully in the next few months and in the next year or coming years?
Sam, do you want to go?
Well, I think for us both, we're still pushing and enjoying every bit of cover we get at Radio 1 at the moment. So super fortunate, we're doing a few more cover shows at Radio 1, including a weekend breakfast show in a few weeks to come, which is super, super exciting. And then continuing to do as much of that as we can, and just continue to work together. And hopefully long-term goal for us is ending up with a national radio show on a platform that we love. So that's the big goal for us.
And I think we'll be pursuing it. We get on so well as a double header. I think we'll be pursuing it together. We have been for so long, so it just works out quite well. But hopefully, you'll hear us regularly in a daytime slot on national station soon. That's
here first. Absolutely. Well, thank you both so much as well for your time this evening. It's been so lovely to talk about Xpress, reminisce, and actually just kind of get to know you both at hopefully the beginning of your careers, your national careers, after kickstarting them at Xpress. So really, thank you very much, and watch this space. But if you are an alumnus of the university attending this evening and you have a topic you'd like to pitch for one of our next 4 Alumni by Alumni series, either a live webinar such as this or a written blog in our e-news, please do get in touch, because we'd love to hear from you, and it's fantastic to have such a variety of different events scheduled for the next academic year. We hope you'll join Cardiff University for another virtual event. Our next 4 Alumni by Alumni event will be in October. The link to register will be in our follow-up email. And in addition, the current Xpress exec are busy finalising plans for more 25-year anniversary activities when the new academic year kicks off in October. So if you don't already follow them on socials, then stay up to date with their plans at Xpress Radio on Twitter and Instagram. You'll receive an email in the next few days with a copy of this recording and links to register for upcoming events. But most of all, thank you so much to Sam and Danni for sharing your expertise so generously. Diolch yn fawr iawn. And also thank you to you, our audience, for joining us in today's celebration event. It's been really, really enjoyable. Thank you again. Diolch yn fawr a hwyl fawr. Have a lovely evening. Bye.
Diolch.
Diolch. Thank you, Hannah.
Bye.